Hi, everybody. This is day 1945 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss because he was a whistleblower and he was being retaliated against because he was absolutely something that has come up in our investigation that has been there all along that we've already reported on, but this is, going on 5.5 years, is that Richard took pictures. Okay, Richard had pictures in his whistleblower complaint. Um, that's why the whole phone issue is a big deal. Um, it's a big deal because when you're in the military and you have a chain of command, they can absolutely take away your phone, especially if CID is involved. And we know that the prime suspects are his platoon leader and members of the CID, and yeah, and others. So, but the prime suspect is his platoon leader, so which is Dallas Hart. Um, and so he was Richard was absolutely forcibly removed. We have uh, evidence that confirms that, and he was taken to the arms room, um, and they took his life. They then stole his body off of Fort Bliss. Okay, they stole his body, and they dismembered him, and um, they treated him as a commodity to cash in on him. Okay, this is only done by an industry of people that know how to cash in on bodies, on corpses. And that's the funeral business, right? So these people from the very beginning, these suspects, I've said from the very beginning, have a connection to the funeral business. And now, it just has gotten very, very dark with that, right? With this whole crematorium, plenitude, rat infested, bodies with maggots, um, some bodies with, it's been confirmed, evidence of torture. And make sure that I'm on because I don't see that I'm on. Sometimes there's a delay. Thank you. But the prime suspect is. Thank you so much. Okay. So I found it now. Uh, you know, it just sometimes it works quick, sometimes it doesn't. Um, but the evidence now for the funeral business is tied to, of course, Danae Katzen, Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, Delia Briones, the um, yes, of course. Mario, thank you so much for the love and the prayers. Mario Raskin Ortiz, the chief medical examiner. This is all family. Okay, these are evidence confirms this, right? These connections, and of course with the um, Ariano, um, Quran, Rivera. I, Rosemary, not to be confused with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, but Rosemary, um, Purchase, she has many names. And I think it's intentionally like that. So, she's like the matriarch, right? and she has these children. She's absolutely in the funeral business. She's absolutely in the crisis pregnancy business. She is absolutely in the dating app business. She is the owner of the property where the Plenitude Crematorium was on. She is absolutely connected to Cano Steel Inc. Um, and of course, uh, connected to Beto O'Rourke, connected to Ricardo, the county judge, Ricardo Samaniago. She is absolutely connected to the Mauro Campos and the governor, who's really no longer, I mean, she's the governor in name only, right? She's lost her power. So she's really just like a sitting duck right now in Chihuahua, Mexico. And what is going on with the Miss Universe pageant, Raul Rocha and the Thailand co-owner of this. Someone commented, and thank you very much, and we appreciate all your comments. Come on, this is far-fetched. Um, Look, everything that we post is precision. It is precision. Um, we've had to investigate our son's um, case from the very beginning. And I can't tell you how much information that I have that I don't post because I question it. And I've been told to go ahead and post it, right? But, we're talking about people's lives here. I kept a lot of Belen Rocha's pictures, and um, she's so up to no good. She's so evil, right? She's so evil. And she's part of this family, this terrible family, Belen Rocha. Um, and I've protected her as far as not posting the devastating pictures that were, online that confirm everything that we say about her, that she was up to no good. And Richard had pictures, and she absolutely lied about, she's that fake witness, right? Like Lilani Hart. Lilani Hart is the unreliable source. Belen Rocha was an unreliable source. Just deceiving. And if you're a deceiver, then you're a child of the devil, right? With all the deception. And I can tell you there's deception in all of this. And now we know why these are, so demonic and satanic, because they want access to children. They want access to children to do the worst things, And we know that Lalani Hart confessed to facilitating the worst type of crimes against children, failing to report for decades on the worst type of crimes against children, failing to report against a 7-year-old being the worst crime against a 7-year-old in her master bedroom by multiple members of her household. She didn't report that um, until the day of Richard's. It's 22nd of July 2020. She puts in her affidavit of confessing. Um, I think that's damage control, right? Like playing the victim or something like this. Um, but it's all coming out, and now it is huge because it all leads to uh, the Mormon faction leader, which is Woody Hunt. This all leads to Woody Hunt and his control over that borderplex area. And and his very evil intentions. And, he's a billionaire, so he can do a lot. He can do a lot with his billions. And, we know that he hosted Greg Abbott. We know that he's a chameleon. Woody Hunt is a chameleon, because he funds the Democrats as well as the Republicans, because what he wants is to ensure both sides so that he can have the open border, so that he can have compromise. Like Ted Cruz, he's very compromised. Abbott is very compromised. Um, Veronica Escobar is, her husband and her are absolutely, totally compromised. And so if you have, of course, the latest confirmed that was compromised was um, Gonzalez, right? Representative Gonzalez, because of his girlfriend, who was married and he's married and all that. It's just one big mess. No ethics, no morals there. Um, Ended up being lit on fire and burned to death. Tony Gonzalez. And so, compromised because he wanted to, years ago, he wanted to report on Woody Hunt's up to no good actions, right? He wanted to investigate. And then, he got compromised. And then look what happened. Look what happened, and his whole career is ruined. Um, when you make a deal with the devil, you think that, you might get short term gain, but you're going to hell, right? It's just as simple as that. And hell comes all around. The dark hole, the dark abyss comes, and and so many children then get hurt, right? Because that's what they want. They want access to children. There is a big market for access to children and children's parts and children's everything about children, and it's unspeakable evil. Um, and now this evidence, and that's why I'm saying our investigation has been precision. And it absolutely has to do with the Miss Universe pageant, because they use the cover of beautiful things to do very evil things. And so they'll infiltrate a church, they'll infiltrate a military, they'll infiltrate the greatest government um, in history, really. I mean, that we know of. The United States government is really the oldest right now. It's been so successful in giving people a very good life, and it's been infiltrated, right? I think Byzantium was probably the longest, because of its gold, hard money. It's hard money. It's border policies. It's farmer policies. Um, so, but the United States, the U.S. Constitution, um, when it was in full force, people had so much opportunity um, to uh, to have a great life. If they worked hard, they could have a great life. And it's been infiltrated. That's why they want to infiltrate it, because they want to have the cover of being an American. And then that's why these wars have been so terrible, because um, they were just infiltrating our military, creating these wars and profiting off of them big, and saying, oh, it's the United States. And patriots love their country, right? Love their country. And I know that this is what my grandmother, as a German, said about how the worst dictator came into power, because with the um, with the end of the First World War, um, there was a total breakdown. There was no um, nothing in the stores because the money was in total hyperinflation and no jobs. So it was called the Weimar Republic, and you needed a wheelbarrow full of money. They didn't have credit cards at the time. You needed a wheelbarrow full of money to go and buy bread, and it ended up to be where the shops didn't have anything in them. Didn't even offer. There was no economy. And when the worst dictator in Germany came to power, he created the Reichsmark. And the next day, my Oma told me, the next day, all the shops were full of supplies and food and everything. And people had uh, a dependable currency, the Reichsmark, and could buy things. And this dictator earned a lot of loyalty because of what he did there, right? He earned a lot of loyalty, created the Volkswagen jobs, created the highways called the Autobahns. The Autobahns, a lot of work there, creating the probably the best streets in the world, even today. The best highways system, and of course the train system was, and then of course all the health stuff. And so when he started doing his no good dictator stuff, people didn't speak up. They didn't speak up. They allowed it to happen, um, and they were became afraid to speak up. And then when the vote came, my Oma told me that when she went to go vote, the name of that dictator was already checked off on the paper ballot. And all she was allowed to do was to fold it and put it in a box. That's it. And so the infiltration, the sneaky crumbs and everything. Oh, well, no, guess they weren't crumbs. He wanted to make a strong military. He wanted to make, but once it came, he tore down a lot of the roads and tore down a lot that he built, and ruined a beautiful country. And millions were killed. Millions and millions were killed. Um, so including my grandfather, right? Including my grandfather, because there was the regular army, then there was the N word, right? And the SS, right? The SS and all of that. But at the end, it didn't matter who you were or what you did. You had to go to the front. So you could be a young boy and be put on the front, you know. Um, so my mother was very glad to become an American citizen, and have this beautiful country where, we're very thankful. And this is still Thanksgiving Day long weekend, right? Very thankful. Um, of course, my grandfather was interned during World War II because he had immigrated over before then. He read the writing on the wall. He kind of saw what was happening. He didn't want to join a party, and being a plumber, if you didn't join the party, you couldn't get a job underneath this dictator, right? So he came to the United States. He came to the United States to Nebraska because Nebraska was offering beet farming, right? Anybody that wanted to help with the beet farming, which was brutal. And did that for a little bit. Met my grandmother, went over to Oregon to work in the furniture factories, and made himself a beautiful life, absolutely beautiful life, and lived a long life. Um, so this country is something that people want, and they have bad intentions. And so what President Trump is doing is vetting, and so he's going to go look back at these infiltrators. He's going to go look at Leilani Hart admitted to immigration violations, and the worst type of crimes against children. Why do you want her in our country if she didn't come legally? If she has all these violations and then she does, facilitates the worst type of crimes against children. And don't forget, she had the heart daycare, right? And that's just a little. Well, it's really not little. Clearly, the Mahis are up to no good when it comes to um, human trafficking and children and all other kinds of criminal trafficking. And then they have the funeral home business gives them the infrastructure to do 2 trucks, 2 vans, 2 transportation paperwork across the border back and forth. So um, and to security, the security business, which then needs guns, and of course, the whole gun thing where they're changing the serial numbers. This is important for the Miss Universe pageant, and the Miss Universe pageant is such a great cover, right? Just like the schools are for the tunnels, for traveling all over and bringing trafficking to different places. Um, and you need money to buy that influence, to buy that crown. And so they were stealing fuel. They were stealing fuel from Pemex, bought the crown, and with the crown, that gives them access to all kinds of routes, all kinds of um, abilities, visas, and things like this to do the trafficking. Um, so, yeah, absolutely. What Raul Rocha uh, with his Miss Universe pageant, and what's going on down at the Gulf Cartel. That's all coming out, and when that is more confirmed, I'll absolutely tell you. Um, but that all has to do with this precision investigation on the murder, theft, and cover up of our son. And we've been right all along, haven't we? Look at this whole Mayella. That was talk about precision, right? And how the media still has not covered that. That shows you how they're so um, implicated in the Walmart mass shooting cover up, right? When the media is not exposing the Crucius Mayella connection. And that is all document. That is all precision facts, right? And, uh, but uh, there were multiple shooters and they want to cover that up. Um, they want to cover up that they interfered with the election, right? That they created a false narrative with fake information to attack President Trump, because President Trump's opponent at the time was the next door neighbor of uh, Raphael Ariano of Plenitude Crematorium, which was Beto O'Rourke. They're buddies. They are absolutely buddies. They live next to each other. Um, and I shouldn't say they're buddies, but they are buddies. They are buddies because the policies that Beto O'Rourke was working on as a representative were all in favor of this scheme, this funeral home scheme. And, so Beto O'Rourke just kind of, laid the blueprint out for them so that they could take advantage of our country and infiltrate and take advantage of funds, a lot of funds for all their different businesses. And of course, you need liquor licenses and all of that stuff. So that's all included in this. It's very, very, oh, uh, you know, all the pieces of this puzzle are very well documented and cut out to fit together for the public so that they can see that the Walmart mass shooting involved Richard's unit. Right, Richard's unit, and Richard's unit was whistleblowing on that. Richard also saw the criminal trafficking. He took pictures. He reported to IG, he reported to CID, but he reported to also FBI Houston, also to the White House in 2019 and 2020. That means the Trump administration. He had he had pictures, didn't he? He had pictures, and um he was apps. He even called 911, right? CPS, Child Protective Services, to let them know what was going on. So these are the worst type of crimes against children that he's reporting to save the children. And the media, instead of uh, being his uh, a protector, um, absolutely participated. We know that El Paso Matters participated in the retaliation against Richard before he was uh, lost his life, and he- yeah, through the oh gosh, the whole setup was done by the media, the false witnesses, the whole setup to discredit Richard, everything, and it didn't work because he is um, a national hero, where his name is indelible, right? His name is indelible, and that comes from the President Trump's own hands. And we appreciate that so much, but it tells you how precise our investigation has been. And, just like Nadal Bayim, the Palestinian arms dealer, with family ties with the Texas Rangers, with the uh, director, um, with also um, Dreams Cabaret, the Mayellas, uh, also the El Paso ISD chief of police. I mean, everything about our investigation is precision, and we name names, we give facts, we give documents, we absolutely have tied this all together, and it's tying to the Miss Universe pageant. It's tying to the election tampering of President Trump in favor of Beto O'Rourke, which, he didn't have a chance at all because, people understand. People absolutely can see through and feel the vibes, the very evil vibes of all of this. And the same thing with Woody Hunt. They feel his evil vibes. Absolutely. And he is, really the financier with the Soros of all of this terrible things going on. So, and they give themselves awards and all of that. And I want to talk about UTEP too, real quick, because Homan is going to UTEP. And it's a very dangerous, I'm going to tell you, our evidence, all of our associations with UTEP, because they run KTEP radio, and all of the communications that we've had, clearly, I want to tell the border czar, Tom Homan, that he needs to be very careful because that's a very dangerous place for him. Very dangerous place. There's a security breach there. And like the security breach that um, Charlie Kirk walked into. We don't want the borders are walking into that breach, that security breach at UTEP. He needs to be very, very careful because I'm going to tell you, it is not safe there. Not safe one bit. They will go to the biggest extremes to keep that border open. Okay, to keep that border open and have access to children. Okay, that's what they can do all of the substance trafficking, the gun trafficking, the ammunition, the car parts, whatever's not bolted down, they want to do the criminal trafficking, they can do that. But what they're really after, what all of that gives them is access to children. And that's and for the worst reasons. And so that UTEP is a very dangerous place for Tom Homan. Okay, very dangerous place. So I think that there needs to everybody please say that loud and strong so that he can hear it. Everyone share that information. Um, eh, because he's supposed to meet there on December 4th, right? So, say it loud and strong, loud and strong. And so, that they are aware of the danger that he faces when he goes to UTEP. Um, so thank you. Woody Hunt is building a business in UTEP. Yeah, and they want to knock down buildings and stuff like that too. Um, because he's always looking for the next bond, right? He's always looking for the next taxpayer to have to shell out the funds for his building projects. That's what he's always looking for. But he's looking for even worse than that, right? He's up to no good. So this is really exposing billionaires, right? Billionaires and their lawyers um, and so the owner of the Miss Universe pageant with the co-owner and with that connection to what Cesar Paneche did, the AG of Chihuahua, siphoning billions of barrels, not just 10, not just 100, right? Not just 1,000, not even just a million, a, billions of barrels of um, fuel from the Pemex, and that is just from the people. That is, to sell in his own Carvel little gas stations, right? Little convenience gas stations. So, this is and then the leaking of documents. We know all about the leaking of documents and then charging money for the leaking of documents. So yeah, it's very precision and it's getting even more precision, and I hope that you watch and share everything that we're doing, because then people can be more prepared about what's really truly going on, because the media doesn't cover it, right? The media doesn't cover it at all. So they won't even uh, cover the Mayella Crucius connection. Can you believe it? I mean, they're not even covering the Mayella Crucius connection. I think we need to all be making some phone calls about why in the heck are they not covering Maya um, the Mayella Crucius family network, right? So, okay, everyone, thank you so much. Really running, well, it's not so late, but um, I guess, burning the midnight oil. But we're, there's no time to sleep. We're working on about 6 different letters right now to write out, to document that we've documented and that we are submitting. So there is uh, some breaking news coming down the pipeline about Richard's unit that is, it's just huge, y'all. It's so big. And the connections are absolutely there. And so as soon as we are given the okay to give that everything's been confirmed, um, I will absolutely share. But there is so much going on behind the scenes that I hope everybody um, will absolutely share, 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 so that when as all this information comes up, they're prepared. They're prepared because I think it's, well, I don't want to predict the future. I'll keep that to myself. But we are in very vicious negotiations for the repatriation of our son's remains. That's what we're in right now. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow. Um, oh, yeah. Owens businesses. Yeah, absolutely.